Now I am pleased to introduce 5 ENGin students for our panel discussion. I am ENGin. In early 2020, we started with just 1 student. Since then, our program has grown tremendously as we have served over 17,000 students. Every student has a unique story to tell, an impressive resiliency, and a dream for their future and the future of Ukraine. For those of you watching, we will be taking a couple of questions from the audience following the panel discussion. So please be sure to add your questions in the comments section of the post on the top right of your screen. Let's meet our panelists. Lascavo próximo, everyone. Please take a moment to introduce yourselves by giving your name, where you were located, and briefly what led you to become an ENGin student. Victor, will you start us off?
I'm Victor. I'm from Mykolaiv city right now, somewhere inside of the forest of the Western Ukraine. I became a student and in the past as a volunteer, just when I found the great offer to be a volunteer and a student of this great program. So I'm with the ENGin almost a year, and it's really fascinating experience for me. Thank you for everyone, every part of this great program, and a lot of success to you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Olga, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Hello, my name is Olga. I'm from Lugansk, but live in Kiev now, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity to be a part of ENGin program and to have some special galaxy. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. Veronica, will you introduce yourself next?
Yeah, thanks. My name is Veronica. I'm in Kiev now, but my hometown is Kherson. And I decided to join in ENGin program when it dawned on me that I'm just felt stuck in English, and I just started to lose motivation to push myself every day to use my English skills at least for 5 minutes. And I really wanted to have real conversations, and I'm so thankful for ENGin that really gave me this opportunity to have real conversation in English. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let's see, Alicias.
Hello to everyone, my name is Alicias and I come from the Donetsk region. Right now I'm in Czechia, and it was my friend who invited me to ENGin. For she didn't use this opportunity. She told me that she believed in me and that she found it useful for me. And I just realized I had to try. I did that, and right now my English is quite better than her, and she is so jealous for me using that chance.
Thank you. I'm glad that she introduced you to ENGin. And last but not least, Sergey.
Hello, my name is Sergey. I live in the western part of Ukraine. I've heard about ENGin at work, and it really helped me to improve my English skills.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So now the way that this will work is I will ask you all questions, and I'll of course let you know who I'm directing the question to as we go along. So to start us off, Sergey, how did you feel before your first ENGin session? And can you tell us what that first session was like?
Oh, yeah, I had quite a lot of problems to schedule a meeting with my volunteer, and due to the power outages in Ukraine. So we've been trying to schedule a meeting with my volunteer for almost 2 weeks, and each day we had to reschedule it because of the unpredicted power outage. So finally, we decided to meet at 1 a.m. when I could use a cellular network because it's less loaded. And I was quite happy to find that my volunteer shares a lot of interests with me. It was quite interesting experience.
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds like that was you. I think you joined in October-ish, so that was right around when there were a lot of power outages. I know that was very difficult for a lot of our students.
That's true.
Alicia, same question for you. How did you feel before your first ENGin session? I know you've been in the program for quite a while now, so it was a while ago. And can you tell us, do you remember what that first session was like?
Okay, I will try. It was, first of all, it was a big surprise for me that I and my buddy celebrated birthdays on the same day. And I mean, it was such, a wonderful impression of the selection process. And I mean, sometimes we even celebrated it together. Besides, my buddy had quite an unusual name. Her name is Joe, and the reason for that was that she was Japanese, and like she's Japanese right now. So it really fascinated me when she provided some comparisons between, like Japanese culture and American one. And I mean, it really came in handy for me as for a foreigner. And also, I mean, please don't think that she had any accent because she had been living in the US for around like 16 years. So, like quite a long period. However, I mean that she even like ate only Japanese food, and it really impressed me. So, and my first session was, of course, devoted to the topic of getting acquainted. But a wonderful thing was that we repeated the same topic in 1 year, and like just a lot of things have changed. And I mean, it was just a wonderful experience how our self-reflection changed and how we also saw the world from the experience of each other.
That's wonderful. You gave such great details for it being so long ago. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so Victor, this question is for you. What do your ENGin sessions look like now? So we know we kind of got an idea of what the first session looked like for a couple of our students, but what do your ENGin sessions look like now? What do you focus on with your volunteer, and how do you feel those sessions are helping you?
They are totally confident and calm because I had my experience before as a student and a volunteer. Her name is Shayla. She's living somewhere in the Albuquerque, in the place where Breaking Bad was making several years ago, I think maybe a decade ago. So we're just talking about everything. She's got 7 children, so we have a lot of conversations about each of them. I'm living in the like a small place inside of the forest, in the house in the forest. So we are talking about our environment, what we are feeling. And we're talking a lot about God and believing in God because she's really a religious person. So, and she is also a teacher just like me. So we had a lot of themes to talk about. It's really nice to talk with the person from other country to share my experience of how I'm believing in the great things that's coming in the world, even despite of the war that makes my country like maybe not the safest place in the world, but inside of me, I have real confident things and harmony in my life. I'm just believing in a shining future, just like my body. So we're good with it.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you two have found a lot of common interest and discuss a lot of really important topics, even though you probably have somewhat different lives. So very, very cool. So Veronica, same question for you. What do your ENGin sessions look like now? And what do you focus on with your volunteer? And how do you think those sessions help you?
Okay, thank you for the question. Firstly, our questions right now, they're not that regular because like we have the same, not problem, but the same circumstances. It's like our studies and our final weeks and like, I have like, we understand each other. But usually our session right now have this plan. Usually before the session, we finalize the time and we try to pick one topic for maybe 45 minutes. For example, it can be time management or cultural diversity, whatever. And I try, and she also tries to find some interesting questions or maybe a presentation about this topic. And it is so captivating to listen to her opinion. And also, like, even when we have some like agreement, I think like this, but she doesn't agree. And I try to step by myself and say why it's right and like she says why it's wrong. And our favorite like exercise like this game, would you rather, for example, would you rather go to see mountains or would you rather go to the sea, and we try to like say our option and like explain why. And I think it's a really good exercise is if someone have some difficulties with making really like those easy and short decisions. Yeah.
I think probably a lot of volunteers who are not using that would you rather game in their sessions are probably going to do that now. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Olga, can you describe common interest that you and your volunteer have and how this has shaped the conversation in your sessions?
Thank you very much for question. My volunteer Jorge is the best all over the galaxies, really. And it is hard to explain all through in my mind right now. But the first things, what is really important for me, it is we have common melody of our childhood. For example, is Pokemon chips, street games, and the song of Rooster. But honestly, Kukuriki no Quiero Flojos Aquí, I like more because my mother wake me up with the words like the corporal commands to stand up. So we both with my volunteer hear the speech of Rooster. The second, since it's theater and cinema, was really fantastic to hear about Serie of the USA, and I'm just imagine how hard and how many hours I need to spend to walk on Broadway, or how many not hours and maybe days. And the third thing is maybe it is like for love for traveling. I have never been abroad, and Jorge opened a lot of places for me. I learned that Eiffel Tower have elevators, but I still have a question: where is the stairs? I think they should be. I learned about how to be brave at mountain, what the weather in Spain. So with my volunteer, I can feel and breathe by this air of these countries. Thank you for this so much. And maybe my favorite things what I have common with Jorge is technical cha-cha-cha, because he is superhero of technical knowledge, and it is very interesting for me. And I know how to use fuse box, for example. Yes. So, and every station for me, it is special galaxy. It is special melody. It is the ocean of positive what I needed so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olga. Very well said. Thank you for sharing. Sergey, I understand you work in the tech industry. Will you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you feel improving your English in the ENGin program will help advance your career?
Sure. I'm working as a software developer on a project from the United States, and during the work meetings, I sometimes I'm sometimes confused with expressions and informal language. And sometimes I make mistakes when writing work emails and documentation. So with my volunteer, I discuss the complicated expressions I encounter and complicated language, and it helps quite a lot. And also the practice with a native speaker on a regular basis also is quite helpful. So after half a year in the ENGin program, I feel much more confident with my skills.
Thank you for sharing. I feel like we have a lot of students who are also working in the tech industry and find themselves in the very same situation as you. So thank you. Victor, you wrote and published a very intimate diary of your life during war that was published in Lint magazine. Can you talk about the importance of sharing Ukrainian stories like yours in English?
Yeah, so this is only a passage of my big basement diary. It has more than 200 pages, and I like to publish it maybe at the end of the year. So this is a story of the simple man, just like a civilian from Ukraine, and it consists of a lot of themes, but I think it's more for people from Europe, from USA, not from Ukraine, because I'm talking about like to you, just to you. Like if you're thinking that your life is going on and everything is going happy in your life, everything is good, and it's going to be good always, you are wrong, actually. And Ukraine's example is a great example of this thing. So I lost a lot of things. I lost money, I lost my job, I lost my house, but the most important, never gonna lost, is my faith and the freedom inside of me. So that's why my text, my part of the diary, is about how the man can lost everything except the freedom, the most important thing. So come on, guys, let's do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. I really enjoyed reading what you sent to us, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. Veronica, you have been a student in the ENGin program for approximately 8 months. And as our youngest panel member today, can you share with us your plans for your future and how you believe ENGin will help you achieve your goals?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Firstly, I would say for me right now, it is kind of, my goals are kind of fuzzy, and I'm not sure with my future yet, but I would say I have kind of 3 goals, and I'm sure ENGin will definitely help me. The first one, I want to read books, and I want to read English books as much as possible, and I found that my volunteer and I, we actually have the same hobby, so she likes reading books and I do, so we decided to, if we're like, to like adjust to this plan, if we are done reading the book, we can feel free to share our emotions, feelings about this book, and maybe like we found some downsides or want to share this book, and also for some recommendation. And she recently suggested to me sometimes to have like to spend some time on reading books together or listening to audiobooks together. And I think it's like a really good idea, because like we can, if it's audiobook, we can stop the audio and discuss what we heard. And also she suggested to like find some books on the internet, the cover of this book, and try to predict what this book is going to be about. And it's not kind of, we're like judging the book by its cover, but we are kind of trying to cultivate our imagination by the cover. Usually when we can see books on the shelf, we're not able to like read all the book and understand the the meaning or the bottom line of this one. We actually trying to see through this. And the second goal is ENGin inspired me with English, and I was thinking becoming a volunteer or a teacher, an English teacher for children or adults, maybe teenagers, this because I just understood how language can be a life-changing tool and actually can help you to connect with the world and just tell your story. And it's like it's a truth. It's like it can be not only meaningful for you, but for other people, it can inspire them too. So I think like that I can help with my level of English to others. It can be like Ukrainians or maybe people who are not from like English country. And the third one, I've never been abroad, and it's my dream. So one of the reasons why I'm learning English and I'm trying to cultivate it is because I want to see the world and I want to travel alone or with somebody else, even with strangers. But I really want to do this, and I think that ENGin can help me. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Veronica. Yes, as a native English speaker, I find myself to be very lucky that it's a global language. And although I love learning other languages, when you're traveling around the world, it does make it helpful to know English. So you have a lot of great goals. And I love that you also like to do storytelling, and telling that in English does mean that you can reach a lot of people. So thank you for sharing. Okay, so let's go to Alicias. We haven't spoke to you in a few questions. Were there preconceptions or stereotypes you had about your buddy's country or culture that have been dispelled due to this experience? And also, what was something surprising that you learned about your buddy?
Okay, being mentored by a Japanese American, when I took some courses, I regularly checked with her the data. For instance, I was amazed by the fact that like one Irish guy told me that the gesture "okay" was used for mentioning money in Japan, but my buddy had never heard that, and I was a bit lost. Also, another thing is about firework displays. In California, they had really strict rules in terms of that, but in Japan, they could organize it even at her house, and it's something that she really enjoyed. Another thing, like an essential topic for both of us was the prom and preparation for that. And I mean, we found out a lot of differences between that because like the prom in the US is really similar to something my parents had, because everything was really like sounded really darling and sweet. But in Ukraine, like the price, the value of prestige, is really powerful, and it's something that impressed me. Also, I thought that it is a big challenge to be employed in the US, but my buddy encouraged me sharing a lot of experiences of her classmates that I even like broadened my horizons and started exploring the same directions in Ukraine. And, I found a job for myself. Also, when we celebrated our 18th birthdays, she told me that she finally could purchase a pet. But I mean, in Ukraine, we could purchase a pet just when we had some money. And it's something that surprised me. Also, I was told how to avoid confusing moments, like that phrase, could I grab you for a coffee? I mean, in Ukraine, it's something quite normal, but in the US, it means that you are inviting someone for the date. And my body really broadened my horizons on that situation. And finally, I believe that one stereotype everyone has is that Americans are always smiley. But in fact, they can be exhausted, and they can also procrastinate, but it's their mentality that helps them, to get some benefit from that, to not to degrade with all the stuff. And I mean, it's something that really touched my heart. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I know Americans kind of get a hard time about that, about smiling too much sometimes. I'm pretty guilty of it myself. So it was really lovely to speak with you all today. And I wish we had more time to continue this. I almost feel like we need to do this again because it's just not enough time today. So that's it for our questions today. I really want to thank you all. Let me see if I can say this correctly. Dakuyu, Thank you all so very much for sharing your experiences today. I think I can speak for all of us who are not in Ukraine. We have tremendous respect for you, for all ENGin students, for the ENGin staff, who demonstrate incredible fortitude and determination under the duress of war. Please take care and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you for being with us today.